Hello, crypto world. Welcome to the Chart Historian. My name is Justin, and on this channel, I delve deep into crypto charts, exploring chart structures, fractals, and patterns. So in this video, I'd like to touch base on the crude oil chart, or the WTI crude oil chart. So it is my belief that this chart has a repetitive macro structure. What I would like to do in this video is dive into this structure and show you where we are and what we should expect in the coming days. Now, I've been poking around Twitter, and I've seen posts talking about how oil potentially will move down, and we could be seeing maybe a potential crash in the works. And usually this is associated with a potential recession coming down the pike. Well, I would like to present an argument that comes to a different conclusion, and it is going to be based on this macro structure and a fractal point of view. So first off, if you're not familiar with my analysis on this chart, I recommend watching this video. In this video, I will deep dive further into this repetitive macro structure. I think it's worth watching this video to familiarize yourself with this structure, as in this video, I'm not going to dive into it as much. Okay, so here is a quick view of this macro structure that I'm talking about. So there are three main sections of this chart. There is this one right here from 1966 to 1979. It's very difficult to read as it's very pixelated. This one from 1979 to 1990 is easier to see, and this is where I generally like starting. However, it is my belief that this structure, even though it looks different from this one, is the original structure. It has been copied over here, and the reason why it looks different is because while a structure may copy over the timing, height, and depth, those forces remain unique and original, and they will cause a fractal to have a veneer of originality to it, even though the fundamental structure is repeating. So what do I mean by that? So what I mean is when a structure repeats, the basic idea, so for instance, if the structure moves up at a certain point and then moves down later on and then goes flat and sideways after that, well, that can play out in different ways. So with timing being different, it can play out on a small time frame or a large time frame. Parts of the fractal in timing can move very slowly, and then other parts can move quickly with height and depth. So originally maybe it moved up this high, and when it got copied over the second time, it moved up much higher, or vice versa. It didn't move up hardly at all. So those forces remain unique, even though the structure, which tells the fractal, okay, at this point you should move up, at this point you should move down, at this point you should move sideways, that part copies over. So here is a closer look at this box right here. So it starts with a move up, where it comes to a peak, and then it kind of slowly declines, and then it begins its move up again with this peak right here. It then crashes, and then it has this section right here consisting of two waves pretty much. Now, over here, it doesn't look like that at all. Again, the timing, height, and depth is unique. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this structure and copy it over here, and I'm going to match it to the timing, height, and depth of this part of the chart. So we can accomplish two things. One, you can see how it is repeating, and second, you can see where we are in relation to the greater macro structure. So as we can see over here, how it started with a move up, well, we see that over here. We see the move down to a point right here, and then where it begins to move back up again, it comes to a peak. It even has this first wave and second wave. We see that here. This time, this peak was much higher than it was over here. It then crashes just like it does over here. Now, this time, because this peak was much higher, the crash down here does not appear as severe as it was over here. So what happens after this? We have two waves right here. We see it 1, 2 before the structure repeats again. We have completed the first wave. We are now working on this second wave, so we are roughly somewhere around here. So let's zoom in here and get a closer look. So as you can see, we have completed this first little part of this overall wave, or major part, shall I say, because this was quite a peak. This took place in 2022. I'm sure we all remember that most recent spike in oil. Since then, it has been retreating. However, we are most likely going to have another peak, and this peak has the possibility of being even higher than this one over here, as this part of the fractal is higher. Now, having said that, timing, height, and depth, since they're unique, it doesn't necessarily mean that this part will be higher, but there is that possibility. So what is it doing here? So I believe that this is just merely a wave that will bring it to the next move up. So this is the move down part of the wave that we are in, but it is overall a pattern that is moving higher. So I would say that we are potentially doing this, what this was, just this time over here. So see how this moved up, and then it moved up again, and then moved down. So here we have this wave right here. It moves up again, moves up higher, just like it did here. We'll have to see how this actually plays out. Maybe it won't go as high as we think it will. It could maybe be level with this. I don't know. We'll have to see how this materializes, but there is no indication of a crash. So now that we know what is likely going to take place, you can see why it is my belief that we are not likely going to experience a crash. In fact, it is probably going to, once it completes this move down, it may take a while to work that out. It's going to turn back up and continue moving higher. There will come a point where this whole structure starts all over, and when it does, it usually begins with a move up that is higher in relation to the previous structure. So just as this move up was higher in relation to this structure, this move up was higher in relation to this structure. So if we follow that same idea, we copy and paste that fractal over here, it would look something similar to this. So this would be the structure repeating all over again. Now, again, I don't know if it will go this high. It could go lower. It could even go higher, as timing, height, and depth will be unique. What I've done, as you can see, I've matched it to this part of the fractal and tried to keep some proportionality, but that doesn't really, in the end, mean too much. It's just, at best right now, an example, an illustration of what could potentially materialize. We'll have to see how that plays out. Now, this is going to be down the road a bit. This peak right here, it could peak somewhere in 2025. We'll have to see. Timing is unique. This is merely a suggestion. Don't put too much weight on this timing-wise. I hope this video was helpful. I hope you found this informative. If you did, it'd be much appreciated if you hit that thumbs up button. If you found this type of technical analysis interesting, I recommend, if you haven't already, hitting that subscribe button. This type of technical analysis is unique. You're not going to find it anywhere else. I will continue to follow this chart as it continues to develop. And one important thing to make note of, I am not a financial advisor, so none of this should be used as investment or financial advice. I'm so glad you caught this video. I hope you catch my next one. Have a great day, and bye for now.